guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great start of the week and hope you had a good weekend. First off, I want to say that this video may or may not be up by the end of Monday. I was actually really sick this weekend, and I don't know if you can still hear it in my voice, but I had to do everything I could to come on here and make this video, so I'm hoping it gets up before the end of Monday. If not, then you have something to look forward to on Tuesday. So today's video, as the title says, is I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about some of the tools and the methods I use to study Japanese. I do get this question a lot about how long did I take to learn Japanese and how did I learn Japanese. So this video is going to be the things that I used and continue to use to study Japanese. So if you want to see what I have to say, please keep watching. Okay, so first off, I want to start by saying that these are the methods I have used for myself. Everybody has different methods. This is just the ones I have used. But just to give you a little background information, I said it before, but I'll say it again. My actual major is not Japanese. My actual major is international relations or international studies. But the way my school is, you need a concentration or a focus. My focus and concentration area is East Asia. So I'm an international relations major with a concentration area in East Asia. So my school, whatever your concentration area is, you pick a language. So my language is Japanese and my concentration area is East Asia. So everything I have learned underneath international relations has to do primarily with East Asia and anything evolving or affecting Japan. Okay, I have two minors. One of my minors is Japanese, and I did that just for my own personal desire because my major is international relations and I had to have that focus on Japan. I already had to learn Japanese because it's a requirement of my major. That's how my school is. So now I can get started. So the first thing I use to study Japanese are textbooks. These are the textbooks that were introduced to me by my Japanese professor in my sophomore year. There is a line of them, a series of them, series 1, 2, and 3. I actually cannot find the beginner series, but I have the third level series, which is, they're called Genki. This is the textbook and this is the workbook. It is an integrated course in elementary Japanese, and I think Genki is broken down into 2, and then there's another level after that. So this is Genki number 2, and this is the second edition. You can find this book anywhere on Amazon or eBay or any of that stuff. Genki is a really popular, commonly used textbook in the education of Japanese here in the American education system. So you can find this anywhere. It's really popular. And the workbooks just follow along, and it just allows you to go, well, mine are written on, so forgive me. It just allows you to follow deeper with the textbook and to help gain a better understanding of what was taught in that section and that chapter. So Genki is there. There are also other Japanese textbooks that you can look up. A textbook is a textbook. This is just what I have personal experience with. Another method I use to study Japanese is, of course, manga. These are just some various manga books that I had lying around. These two are in English and these two are in Japanese. I started reading Japanese manga, fully Japanese, about by the end of my second year of Japanese. I started studying fully Japanese manga to help me better understand, and just these are some English ones. Reading manga is good for you, for those of you who are looking to maybe associate pictures with learning Japanese. There are some manga that allow you to, that have the Japanese and English translation in there, but there's not a lot like that. When I was in Japan, I did notice there was something like that. For example, there's a popular anime currently out and manga called Shingeki no Kyojin, but in English, Attack on Titan. And I know they have some manga, well, the first book, I didn't see anything past the first book, has English and Japanese translation in there. Another thing that I also use at times are just actual Japanese storybooks, actual novels and things of that nature. This is Kenji Monotogari, which is a very popular Japanese story, true story, which was also turned into an manga and then turned into an anime. It is basically the tale of Genji. You can look that up. I actually read mine with, mine's is in Japanese, and it, for the actual, for some of the kanji, well, most of the kanji there is furigana there. So this is currently what I am reading. You can find manga online, or when I was growing up, there used to be a lot of manga in the bookstores, like Borders and Barnes and Nobles. I don't know if they're still there in those places. And also, what is that place called? 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 The library. Actually, my public library had a lot of Japanese manga in there also. So that's just kind of how I picked up with reading manga. So manga and storybooks are another way to study Japanese. Oh, the sun is setting. I waited so late to film, so there's like no light here. Sorry about that, guys. Another thing I use to study Japanese are just practice sheets, or actually just sheets that have information on them. If sometimes I don't have the textbooks, but I just find sheets online with different things, or I go through my Japanese department in my school and I just find different information. This is just this is when I was beginning to learn Keigo, which is honorifics Japanese, which is the highest level of Japanese, and I just have some worksheets or some sheets with verbs on it. So I just have different worksheets that I have printed out throughout the years. I just brought some, for example, that helped me to better understand certain verbs that I had trouble with, or certain grammar points that I had trouble with. And on the worksheets, I also just write on them myself and write examples and stuff like that. The fourth thing that I use to study Japanese, and this is on the lines of practice, is I just write a daily journal or a daily composition book. This is actually one of my new ones, and I actually don't really, I don't really let anybody read my journal, save sometimes for my Japanese professor. I let her go through and I let her check it. But yeah, I just have a daily composition and I just practice writing Japanese every day. I write how my day went, or I write anything interesting. I just try to get a little bit of writing every day. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't keep up with this as much as I should, but a daily composition book is always great. It allows me to make mistakes. It allows me to get my thoughts off. It allows me to see where I'm having trouble and then get the correction and then better myself. So just a daily composition book. Another thing that I use is I watch Japanese movies. Now this is just a copy of it. I don't have the cover of it, but this was a story I was reading. This was a movie I was watching called Yokomichi Yonosuke, and this is just, it just means the story of Yonosuke. Anything along watching programs, anything along watching the lines, anything along the lines of watching something with Japanese voices coming at you, so you can hear how native speakers speak, whether it be anime, whether it's television programming, whether it's news, whether it's movies or documentaries. I watch a lot of things in Japanese so that I can hear native speakers. I used to watch anime a lot, but I don't really watch it as much as I used to now. But now when I want to hear Japanese, I generally watch news programming, or I watch television programming like variety shows. I really like variety shows, Korean and Japanese variety shows. I really like them. So that's where I hear the most of the Japanese. You can watch it with subtitles, and once you get a little bit more advanced, you can take off the subtitles and see what you actually understood. I turned some light on. I hope it's a little bit better. The video's almost over, don't worry. I try to read Japanese newspapers. Now, Japanese newspapers are the hardest thing in the world to read, so do not feel bad if you cannot understand what you are reading. Many Japanese cannot even understand what they are reading. There is so many levels of kanji in here that it is ridiculously hard to understand, so you don't even have to worry about that. But sometimes I like to challenge myself, and sometimes I will read a newspaper or attempt to read the newspaper, which is going to bring me to my next point, which I use alongside the newspaper, is websites. I use a lot of websites. For example, there's a website called Denshi Jisho, or Jisho Denshi, no, Denshi Jisho, which is electric dictionary, and I use that a lot ever since I was introduced to it in class. I use that to figure out characters I don't know. I use that to figure out words I don't know. I use it alongside the newspaper, or anytime I'm studying something else and I just want a deeper understanding. I use a website called Denshi Jisho, and there's also on there, there's also external websites that are connected to it. So that website is the main website I go to when I'm using online resources. Since I came back from Korea, I did start using Naver, or Naver, however you want to call it. because I was doing the translation of Japanese to Korean. So Naver is also good if you're somebody who's trying to pick up 2 languages at once, or Naver is just good. Naver also has Japanese to English. You don't have to go with Japanese through Korean. There are apps that I use. There is one main app that I use, and nowadays everybody uses apps for everything, right? I have an education tab on my iPhone, and I have a Japanese app here called Imiwa. Imiwa just means, what does that mean? And Imiwa is an online dictionary. As you can see, there are some words that I have recently searched in here. I don't know if you can see. So you just type in anything you're looking for, and it just gives you a variety of stuff. It's just a dictionary on your phone, which is super cool. You can type in the English word to get the Japanese word. You can type in the Japanese word to get the English word, or you can type the kanji. And if you can't figure out the kanji, you can also figure out the kanji by radicals and things of that nature. Now, kanji is a little bit more hard. If you would like a video specifically on how I study kanji, let me know, because that's probably going to deserve its own video in itself. And I also have a flashcard app on here where I just have some Japanese words that I have heard through conversation, or usually my phone is always on me, so I write the words in here that I have heard that I didn't know about, and I look through the flashcard when I am just at home, or when I'm like not doing much or something, when I'm on the train or the bus or something. I just look through the flashcards and study the words that I have learned there. So your cell phone is a great way to, especially if you're somebody like me who's always keeping your cell phone with you, it's a great way to study Japanese. Just there are so many apps out there, free apps, paid apps. I've been through a variety of apps. And of course, one of the more final things that I use, and I think everybody can use this when it comes to studying languages, I use flashcards. I have my phone version of flashcards, and then I have just handheld version of flashcards. I got this from a Japanese textbook. Yeah, I just have the Japanese on one side, and then on the back there is the English telling you how to use it. So then I just practice this throughout the day. I'm just like, okay, what do I know? How to use it in a sentence. Give you an example. Flashcards are always convenient. Everybody should use flashcards when you're studying anything, for real. I have a lot of different flashcards. I keep them in here. Sometimes I make them on my own. Recently, I've been studying these from a textbook I bought when I was in Japan. So flashcards are a great way to study Japanese. And my last final thing that I use to study Japanese is I use Jlpt Books. For those of you who don't know, Jlpt is the Japanese language proficiency test. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. Japanese language proficiency test. And it is just a test that gives you the certificate certifying what level of Japanese you speak. You don't have to do this, but I do this so that I can work government jobs. So yeah, I study for Jlpt. I have a variety of Jlpt books. I bought this one in Korea. This is one of my most recent Jlpt books because it also has Korean in it. And because now I'm also studying Korean, I use a lot of Japanese to Korean books that help me to understand better. Because I have a good understanding of Japanese, it helps me to understand Korean as well. So this is just a Jlpt book. Ilboni Nunguk Shiham. And it just means like you're studying textbook, Japanese studying textbook. Jlpt in itself, just like kanji, is in a whole nother video. Jlpt is not something that you are required to do or you even have to do. Jlpt is just for those of you who want their certificate or who are looking to work in a more higher up job that requires their certificate. And actually, a lot of jobs don't require it. I've done a couple of different jobs for Japanese companies and like American Japanese based companies. I've done a lot of different stuff, and nobody's actually required the Jlpt to date. The only time I've seen the Jlpt required is if you're trying to be like a translator, or if you are trying to work higher up in the government. But I have yet to see anybody ask me for my Jlpt, like, do you have one? The only time I saw it is when I looked to be a translator. And the last and final thing that I do to study Japanese is I just speak to Japanese speakers, or I speak to other people who are learning Japanese. You cannot learn any language unless you practice. You have to be vocal with it. One thing I have learned throughout studying languages is that people can be really book smart but cannot speak at all. And there's no point in that. What is the point in that? That's just my thinking. So I speak a lot. I have a lot of friends who live in Japan. I have a lot of friends who are from Japan. any chance I get, I speak Japanese. I speak Japanese. Sometimes I speak Japanese to my teachers. I speak Japanese to friends. If you're somebody who doesn't have Japanese friends, that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. There are many like online communities where other people are trying to speak Japanese that you can have a pen pal. You can have like a voice pal. I don't know how to really say that in English, but like there are some places where you can send voice messages to people back and forth. Just you shouldn't be afraid to practice speaking. Sometimes, and as you know, on my own channel, sometimes I do the speaking practice videos where I just speak to you guys in Japanese. That's also practice for myself. So you have to speak. You have to speak, and you have to not be afraid to make mistakes. So that's all the tools that I use to study Japanese, or what I'm using at the moment. If you have any further questions or comments, please leave them down below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video for more Japanese videos. Similarly, on my other channel, my Korean channel, I will do a video on how I studied Korean. So please stay tuned for that. So that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. All right, have a great day. Bye, Janet.